Today, what a beautiful Monday morning. The birds are chirping, the sun is shining outside, and I wake up to see Stephanie White getting dragged through the mud for being a snake oil salesman, aka a liar, all online. Oh, what a great day. Cheers to that, folks. Good morning to you. Good morning to you.
Caitlin Clark fans are not just angry after Indiana's season opener, they are already demanding Stephanie White be fired. And the scary part is, this did not take weeks. It did not take 10 games. It did not even take a losing streak. It took one night, one chaotic, high-scoring, painful opener against the Dallas Wings, where the Indiana Fever lost 107-104 and immediately turned the most hyped start of the season into a full-blown crisis.
Well, we've got the continued fallout from the Indiana Fever loss to the Dallas Wings at home in the home opener to a team that won 10 games last year. The fallout is getting like the fandom getting loud. By fandom, I mean Caitlin Clark fandom. You had a lot of things coming out of that. You had the great mystery of back injury. Is it a back injury compensating for something else? Was it a hip flexor? Was it her groin? ABC threw that out there, and everybody immediately, I'm looking at the TV going, wait, what?
Because this was not supposed to happen. Not at home. Not with Caitlin Clark bringing historic attention to the league. Not against a Dallas team that won only 10 games last season. And definitely not under Stephanie White, the coach who was supposed to bring structure, defense, and a real identity back to Indiana.
Stephanie White. Folks, how many pick and rolls did we see in the season opener against the Dallas Wings? 2? 3? No more than 4, that's for damn sure. Why? Well, because Stephanie White, she's too smart. She knows too much. She's an elite ball knower, remember? She's a basketball junkie, remember? All I do every day, I wake up and I put on basketball, and then I go to sleep and I put on basketball, and I go to practice and I'm watching basketball, and I'm watching film tape. Stephanie, stop with the lies. Stop with the lies. We know you come in at 6:30, you punch out at 3:30, and you go home and you lay down on your couch watching soap operas for the rest of the day. We know how it goes. Nothing about you feels like obsessed with my job. Everything about you feels like snake oil salesman.
But by the final buzzer, the fans were not talking about a close loss. They were asking one brutal question. Is Stephanie White already failing Caitlin Clark? And once that question hit social media, everything exploded. The memes started, the comments turned ugly. Fans mocked White as the coach of the century, and the calls to fire her started getting louder by the minute.
Fire White, no size playing CC off ball. She does what she does, not work. Then talks trash about Caitlin Clark fans. Look in the audience, what do you see? I gotta tell you, these ladies act like we haven't spent the last 6 decades watching the best basketball on earth. We know what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, I mean, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s of the NBA, you know what real good basketball is supposed to look like. Find a coach that can build around Clark, manage Mitchell, or trade her. Make this team something people wants to watch. Tick-tock, tick-tock.
But here is what makes this different. This was not just emotional fans melting down after one bad result. A lot of them believe they saw the exact same problems they warned about before the season even started. Bad spacing, weak bench minutes, no real protection for Caitlin Clark, too many defensive breakdowns, too many open shots, too much confusion when the game got tight, and one moment late in the game made everything worse. In the final minute, Stephanie White appeared to ask her staff what Dallas was going to run.
No wonder you lit the Vanderbilt program on flames. Just burn it to the ground. My boy Venom, I'm showing this. Go subscribe. This reaction And I saw this late last night. His reaction is all you need to know.
Make sure they deny. What do you think they're going to run here?
Game, first season opener ever in the history of this league.
And I want to know who she's talking to. Bree January is on the right side right here drinking. Who could she have been asking this question to?
Where both teams have scored 100 points. Let's listen into the huddles.
Check the other bit. So make sure we deny. What do you think they're going to run here?
This is a look of a coach that has zero idea what she's doing. This is the look of a coach that has zero idea what she's literally in the heat of the moment when adversity is adversitying the most, if that's even a word. And she's looking. All players' eyes on her, looking for her for the answer. And she's looking around. What do you think they're going to run here?
I'll stop it right there.
To some people, that may sound normal. Coaches communicate. Coaches ask questions. Coaches talk through situations. But to angry Fever fans watching their team fall apart, that moment looked like panic. It looked like a coach searching for answers instead of giving them. And once the clip started circulating, fans had their proof, at least in their minds. This was not just a roster issue. This was a leadership issue. And that is why the backlash hit so hard. Because Indiana did not just lose, they lost in a way that made fans feel like Caitlin Clark is still being wasted. That is the real story here. Caitlin Clark is not a normal player. She is not just another young guard trying to find her place in the league. She is the player who changed the entire conversation around the WNBA. She brought the ratings. She brought the sold-out arenas. She brought new fans, old NBA fans, casual viewers, and people who had never watched a full WNBA game before. So when Indiana puts her on the floor, the expectation is simple. Build around her, protect her, use her correctly, give her the kind of system that makes her dangerous every single possession. But against Dallas, fans did not see that. They saw Clark working too hard. They saw her getting pressured. They saw moments where the offense looked disconnected. They saw her playing off the ball when they wanted the game running through her hands. And they saw a Fever team that still did not seem to understand how rare this opportunity is. At Iowa, Caitlin Clark had an identity. The whole offense made sense. The spacing was clear. The screens came at the right time. Her teammates understood their roles. Everything was built around the gravity she created. But in Indiana, fans keep asking the same question. Why does it still feel so difficult? Why does the offense still look clunky? Why is the most dangerous offensive weapon in women's basketball not being put in the best possible position every trip down the floor? And after this opener, that frustration finally boiled over because it was not just the offense. The defense was even harder to explain. Stephanie White was brought in as a defensive-minded coach. That was supposed to be the upgrade. That was supposed to be the new identity. The Fever were supposed to be tougher, sharper, more organized, more disciplined. But Dallas scored 107 points, 107, in Indiana, in the season opener, against a team the Fever were supposed to beat. That is why fans are furious, because the entire selling point of this new era was that Indiana would finally stop being soft, sloppy, and easy to attack. Instead, Dallas got open looks. They found rhythm. They got to the free throw line. They punished mistakes. And every time Indiana needed a stop, it felt like the Wings had an answer. That is not just one player having a bad night. That is a system problem. And when your system fails on opening night, with the whole league watching, the coach is always going to take the heat. But Stephanie White is not the only one under pressure. The front office should be feeling it too, because the Fever bench was a major problem. Fans have been saying this roster does not have enough depth, not enough size, not enough length, not enough real starters need help. Who changes the game? When the pace gets frantic, who settles the team down? That is where Indiana looked exposed. And that is where fans started turning from frustrated to furious, because they have seen what elite teams look like. Some wanted certain players traded. Some asked why nobody was setting better screens for Caitlin. Some said they were already done with the team. And the most dangerous comments were not even the angry ones. They were the hopeless ones. The fans saying this is exactly what they feared. The fans saying Indiana is wasting Clark. The fans saying if this continues, Caitlin should want out. That is when a bad loss becomes something much bigger, because once a fan base starts talking about whether the franchise deserves its superstar, you are no longer dealing with normal criticism. You are dealing with a trust problem. And right now, Indiana has a trust problem. Fans do not fully trust the coaching. They do not fully trust the roster. They do not fully trust the front office. And after that opener, they are not sure Caitlin Clark is being protected the way a franchise-changing player should be protected. That is the part the Fever cannot ignore. This is not just about Stephanie White. It is about the entire organization proving it knows what it has. Because Caitlin Clark is not just another player on the roster. She is the engine. She is the reason arenas are packed. She is the reason the spotlight is so bright. She is the reason every Fever game now feels like a national event. And when you have that kind of player, the standard changes. Every decision gets bigger. Every rotation matters more. Every lost possession gets dissected. Every bad coaching moment becomes a headline. And every loss feels heavier. That may not be fair, but it is reality. And Stephanie White is now living in that reality. After one game, she is already under the microscope. Not because one loss should define a season, but because this loss confirmed too many fears at once. The defense looked bad. The bench looked thin. The offense looked uncomfortable. Clark did not look fully empowered. And the team looked unprepared in the biggest moments. That is why this opener felt so damaging. It was supposed to calm people down. Instead, it poured fuel on the fire. And now, the Fever are facing the first real crisis of the season before the season has even had a chance to breathe. So should Stephanie White be fired right now? Honestly, no. One game should not decide a coach's entire future. That would be an overreaction. But should Stephanie White be under immediate pressure? Absolutely. Because the Fever do not have the luxury of wasting time. Not with Caitlin Clark. Not with this level of attention. Not with a fan base that is already questioning whether the franchise is good enough for her. White does not need to be perfect, but she needs to show very quickly that there is a plan. She needs to show that the defense can actually improve. She needs to show that the offense can be built around Caitlin's strengths. She needs to show that late-game moments will not turn into confusion. And she needs to show fans that this team is not just hoping Caitlin Clark saves them every night. Because if the Fever keep looking like this, the conversation will get uglier. It will not just be fans demanding Stephanie White be fired. It will be fans demanding roster changes, front office changes, a complete reset. And eventually, the conversation nobody in Indiana wants to hear will get louder. Why should Caitlin Clark stay loyal to a team that cannot build properly around her? That is the real danger. Not one loss, not one bad defensive night, not one ugly social media reaction. The real danger is that the Fever waste the early years of the most important player in the sport. That is why this opener mattered so much. It was not just Dallas beating Indiana. It was a warning. A warning that hype alone does not win games. A warning that Caitlin Clark cannot carry a broken structure forever. A warning that fans are watching every move. And a warning that Stephanie White's grace period may already be gone. The Fever can still fix this. It is early. One game does not end a season, but first impressions matter. And Indiana's first impression was chaos. So now the pressure is on. Stephanie White has to prove she is the right coach. The front office has to prove it built the right team. And the players have to prove this opener was not a sign of what is coming. Because Caitlin Clark fans have already made their message clear. They are not waiting quietly this year. They are not accepting excuses. And if Indiana keeps wasting these moments, the calls for Stephanie White to be fired are only going to get louder. So now I want to know what you think. Are Caitlin Clark fans overreacting after one bad loss? Or did Stephanie White already show signs that she is the wrong coach for this team? And if you are still watching, drop Clark Crisis in the comments.